Hi guys, it's Kimberly. Welcome back to the Illumined Guru. Thanks to the new subscribers and thanks to all of those of you who have been following for quite a while now. I appreciate that. For those of you who don't know me, I'm a soul coach and an intuitive advisor, and I'm assisting you on your path to enlightenment and ascension, whether you're on the twin flame journey or just stumbling upon the channel. I do a lot of work with twin flames. I myself am an illumined twin flame, and I want to share some really important messages with you today for twin flames. And I really feel like these messages that I've been downloading from spirit, and just I feel guided to make this video for, I think this might strike home for many of you in the different waves and the different phases of the journey in different ways. Some of you it won't resonate with at all, and you can move on to the next healer. Please don't be haters. This is not about finding something and getting vehemently reactive about what doesn't resonate with you. You take charge of your learning, so that if this doesn't resonate, you just move on to the next piece of information or the next teacher or healer that it does. Because I'm going to make some pretty bold statements, and they're not my own. They're just things that I've been learning and been downloading, like I said, from the higher realm. It's a lot of information to share, so sit tight, okay? Those of you who want to check out my services, or if you decide that you want to work with me in private session, you can do so by going to the website, which is theilluminedguru.com, and you can check out all of our services as well as to connect with us on social media via the website. We have just one quick little announcement on 11/11, which, by the way, this year, 11/11, 2017 is a 10 year, and when 10 is, simplified, we get the number 1. So it's the end and the beginning. So it's the end of a cycle and the beginning of a new cycle. And 11/11 means that it's 11/11/1. So we actually have 5 ones. 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. And 5 is the number for transformation, your soul evolution, great change and positive transformation. 11/11 is an amazing day to be learning new information, and new light codes are being scattered on our planet. You are going to be in a heightened state of awareness. There is a gateway to access new information, shift beliefs, and shift old paradigms. This is a great day to be learning, so I'm excited to be holding the workshop on 11/11. It's the Manifestation and Abundance Workshop. It's happening at 10 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. That's New York time. And that will be an hour-and-a-half long workshop all about how we manifest in the most adverse circumstances. How do you keep yourself flourishing? How do you keep the flow going, both monetarily and in anything that you want to manifest? Love, relationships, friendships, health, wellness, all of that, prosperity, everything. We're going to talk about how to clear the energetic roadblocks that are holding you in a resistant energy to this abundance. So please join us for that. You can sign up on the website again, theilluminedguru.com. Click on book a session and under classes and workshops. All right. So let's get to our message here. I didn't know how to start because there's so much information that I want to share with you. So you may even want to grab a notepad. You may want to watch this a couple times. I don't know. I don't know how it's going to come out. I'm hoping it'll come out succinct and cohesively, but I haven't really had a practice run, and I really haven't. I've been formulating it for a few weeks, but I haven't had the opportunity to, like I said, to practice in any way or to put this on paper yet. It just felt the need that today was the day I felt guided that it's the time to share it. I can't. So when I was thinking about this, I was in the car about an hour ago, and I heard, we're hearing a lot of Tom Petty because he just passed away, and his Learning to Fly song came on, and I really got goosebumps, and it reminded me of all of us in the collective. And so I wanted to comment. This is how I'm starting this video. This is how I was guided. So he says, I'm learning to fly, but I ain't got wings, right? He says, coming down is the hardest thing. And so I really feel like the coming down, like we are all learning to fly, okay? We're here, I'm here to assist you. All your teachers and healers that you're finding are here to assist you. And then you're going to be assisting others in their flight, in their ascension up. And coming down is the hardest thing. When I hear that, it doesn't feel like it doesn't apply. It feels like it totally applies. It feels like that's the part of how do we still stay connected to our earthly life and our groundedness and our balance in our everyday 3D life and our time-space reality while we're learning to fly. Okay, and that's very applicable. He says, well, the good old days may not return, and the rocks might melt, and the sea might melt, and the sea may burn. But well, the good old days may not return. It's like, it's true. It's that simple life, or that simpler way of being, when things seemed maybe less complicated, and when we all say, you know, God, I wish I never met my twin flame, or I wish, you know, this is a curse, why am I in this? Or if you just feel like your beliefs are shifting so fast that you don't even recognize your life, or that old relationships are leaving and new are coming in, it's like, yeah, those like things that we deemed as like the good old days, they're not gonna return. This is, you're reaching a new height now, and it's a really beautiful thing. He says, there's a chorus, and he says, well, some say life will beat you down, break your heart, and steal your crown. And I just feel like I feel so much of that when I work with you all in private session, or when we're on the group calls, because it's like, there's a lot. I mean, we've all been through so many hardships, the beat down of our inner child, the wounds, the scarring from childhood, the beat down of what's happening in your potential relationship, whether you're in a twin flame dynamic that's got narcissism or abuse, or if it's just the runner chaser dynamic, it's that negativity, it's all those struggles. And it's saying, you know, life can break your heart and steal your crown. And that's all about what we've been through, even up until this point, our baggage, right? All of the baggage that we're bringing to the twin flame experience as well. That negativity that is calling right now to be cleared. We're being called to clear the negativity. And so when we talk about stealing your crown, we're talking about you not being connected to your authentic self, to your majesty, to your regality, to your power. And this is for both the feminine and the masculine. He says, so I've started out for God knows where. And I think that's part of, gosh, it makes me want to cry when I start seeing this, because when I'm listening to this song, it's like, it feels like us, all of us in the journey. So I started out for God knows where, and it's like, I think when we start the journey, like, you know, our destination is like union with our twin flame, you know, but when we learn to surrender, it's like, you know, you allow yourself to be lifted. You recline back, you allow yourself to be lifted, and you actually don't know you have no control over anything. You have no control. You have no idea where this is going to all lead, but you know it's going to lead you up to a higher place and to your most authentic purpose. But the hardest part is letting go so that, you know, you can be lifted. He says, so I've started out for God knows where. I guess I'll know when I get there. And I want to remind you all how important that is, to surrender and just allow yourself to be guided and allow yourself to be lifted, because a lot of us right now are fighting the changes that are occurring in the dynamics. And I have to tell you that if you have a separation that's either been in effect or is coming into effect, it is there for a reason. You have to stop resisting it. The more you resist it, the more you hold yourself from more awakening, from more work. And also the same thing for your twin. You're holding things in a stuck, fixed pattern. And that's the stubbornness of our ego sometimes. That's our it's our fear, it's our insecurity. We're being asked to let that all go right now. We're being asked to do that. You're being asked to let it go so that you can go with it instead of going against it. Because if you go with it, I know you think that's not going to lead to like a union and all of that, but I'm telling you, it's completely opposite. It's completely opposite of what you naturally want, what your ego wants to do, and what your mind wants to do, and what you want to do from a place of fear. When you get into love and surrender, and you stop fighting it, let yourself be lifted, and just let the universe lift you and guide you, and you're listening to your soul instead of the fear and negativity and all the old stuff weighing you down, you will see how it will play out. And even though you don't know how it's going to play out, that's the unfolding. So I wanted to take those pieces out of the song and say those things to you because they really resonated for me today. And thinking of how I could start this video, it seemed like the best way is to remind you all that even though I just posted that video last week about endings, beginnings, the new moon in Libra, setting our intentions, about some separations coming and things like that, getting into our power, even now, different things are being highlighted already. And it's like the negativity and the dynamics is really mucking up the connections out there. And we must clear it. Okay, so there's many tools that you can use to clear the negativity. I'm going to talk a bit about where a lot of this comes from, okay? And so I've had some downloads and I feel very guided to share it with you. So as we know, we have all of our life experience that we bring to the connection that is basically, it's a lot of past hurt, past trauma. It's the baggage that we show up with into any relationship. So when we're trying to bring ourselves into union with the twin flame, and you're both standing there with all your baggage, and like the baggage keeps getting in the way, and you keep repeating old patterns and whatnot. It's necessary to go away for periods of time to clear that karma, to clear the baggage, to heal the wounds. I don't think most of you in the collective know how important the separations are. We spend a lot of time, I hear my clients spend a lot of time fighting the separation or wondering when it's going to be over. My guides and spirit has been talking to me, and they're like telling me how immensely important it is for these separations. They are vital for the healing of the connection. We are supposed to be in them. So if you can somehow find a way to relax into it, stop fighting it, stop wondering where you're going to come out to, where you're going to end up, or how you can get out of it sooner, because this is like anything that we're resisting, right? You're hating where you're at. It's like you're in a mud puddle. You're trying to get the mud off of you. You're trying to get free of it. You're trying to get over there so you can get clean. But you know what? Sometimes you just got to be in the mud puddle and go, okay, take me. I'm here. And it's not about acceptance. It's about allowance. It's allowing yourself to be guided. It's allowing things to take their course. It's allowing the time for your healing. It's allowing the space that's needed for processing. Just because you process in one certain way, and for many of you watching, you're the more awakened, twin flame, or you're awakening at a more rapid rate, or kind of leading with the torch. So you're more in tuned with this, the lingo, the language, the concepts, all of that. So it's easier for you many of you, to process it. So when you can process it quicker and faster, sometimes we just expect that the other person can too. But where they're not in that same level of enlightenment, and they're not in the same level of awakening, and they're not familiar or open even to the lingo and the philosophies and the theories and the phenomena, they're not going to get the messages in the same way that you do. They're going to learn them in different ways. They're going to have things over time that are similar to what you go through. Some of the learning for them will be experiential through karmic relationships. Some of it will be through actually feeling their own pain, allowing themselves to feel their own pain for the first time in a long time or ever, and not trying to numb or mask it. And that may be the threshold or the layers that they need to go through before they get the dream messages or before they get the signs. So some of you ask me if I'm seeing signs with my twin. Yeah, you can pretty much bet it, but is your twin awakened or aware of it? Might not be. And what I'm telling you, what I've downloaded from Spirit, is that the processing in the away time, in the separation, is so vital. And if you expect that your twin is going to awaken at the same time as you and process the same way, you're going to be very disappointed. It's going to create more negativity in the connection. So try to let that all go and understand that that's not how this works. It works in such a way that in order to spark the awakening, like to see the signs, to tune in, they may be tuned in and out at different times, like of heightening, like especially when you're in a heightened state or whatnot. But for the most part, the other twin may have, like I said, I'm repeating myself again, may have things to do, different thresholds to get through that will awaken him to that level, or her to that level. And those things are not the things that we're thinking of. We're thinking, well, I'm doing all this work and I'm doing the 5D meditations, and isn't he having the dreams, and isn't he having the signs? Yes, of course, he or she is. Are they aware? I can't say that they always are. There's other things that they're learning. It's almost like going back to building blocks. They got to start stacking the blocks first before, they can build a big a big Lego creation, right? They're gonna start with blocks, building blocks, not Legos. It's the same thing where their awakening isn't going to just surge in magic overnight. It's not going to happen like that. It's going to happen in such a way that they will be guided to it. It will seep in, is what they're showing me. It'll seep in. It'll seep into their dreams. The signs will seep into their life. This will happen as they're learning their lessons through karmic relationship, as they're allowing their ego to calm down and allowing themselves to feel the emotions and feel the actual pain. There are a couple of thresholds that they have to break through to experience that type of awakening. And I can't give you a roadmap or a timeline because there isn't one, okay? Your only duty is to focus on you and your work and your healing and your surrendering the attachment to the other person and being grateful for your separation at this time, if you're in separation. Your separation is so much more purposeful than you even know. For you as well, not just for your twin, because you are being called into greater self-love, self-awareness, ownership of your gifts, connection with your authenticity and your true self-remembrance. You're being called further along onto your mission. And you're also being called, and this is the big one that we miss a lot, these videos, when you're watching everybody, you're being called to release your freaking negativity towards your twin flame. That's the key. So not only do you have to line up with self-love and do all that awesome fun stuff like healing your inner wounds and reconnecting with true self and getting on your mission, and like that stuff, once you dig deep and you get through some of the muck of like the early stuff, the old beliefs, you start shifting that stuff, then it becomes fun. It becomes light. This is about empowerment. This is about trying new things on for size. This is about, harnessing your feminine or masculine power. This is about a new you, new manifestations, new, getting on mission, helping others, doing things that you never imagined you would be even doing. Rapid learning, rapid expansion. Okay, so all those things are amazing. So in all of that, isn't it amazing that many of us, most of you, are still able to hold on to a negative view of your twin flame? And that negative view may sound something like, well, why am I doing all the work? And why does he not get to, why is it taking so long? He's never going to wake up, and I'm sick of it. And I'm telling you, the longer you keep that attitude, the longer you're going to hold yourself in resistance, which means, you're going to repel one another. You're not going to come together, come closer through that energy. That energy is going to keep you apart. So remember that the clearing the negativity is so, so important. And so that's about rising up into self-love so that you can love unconditionally and from a more expansive place. It's about, for many of us, most of us, and Cassidy Kane offers really great listening tools, meditation tools, if you want to download some of her tools for clearing the negativity between the connection, or in the connection. And much of our negativity stems from the baggage that we bring. So you're feeling even more negative towards your twin because, you've been silenced before, you've been hurt like this before, you've been rejected like this before, or you felt not wanted like this before in your past. So not only do you have to clear the negativity towards what you're feeling with your twin, but you're still being asked to clear the negativity from your own baggage and beliefs and experiences and all of that. I'm going to go a layer deeper than this too. Okay, so many of you, this is like a part 2 type of a segment. Many of you, I'm starting to think most, and it's not addressed enough, and I'm going to address it. I'm going to continue to address it in the next several weeks. Many of you have twin flames who have narcissistic tendencies or are narcissists. And there's so much information out there about this that is so negative. And it is a very serious, it's something that we must take seriously, okay, so that we can navigate it in a healthy way. So if we have a twin flame who's in the narc spectrum, or sociopaths, psychopaths, they fall into that spectrum, or they just carry some of the tendencies, chances are you probably had someone in your life growing up that was narcissistic. When you go on YouTube, and I've researched it, and you search for this information, the information that comes up is that if you're with a twin flame who's a narcissist, they're your false twin soul catalyst. And I have to tell you that that's not true. It could be in some circumstances, although I hate the term false twin. It just means falsely identified, like whatever. It's another soulmate, soul catalyst. But maybe someone who's coming in to get you ready for the twin flame. Okay, and that's very possible. But that does not mean that our twin flames cannot be the narcissist. Yes, they can. Of course they can. Of course they can. I'm going to tell you a very bold theory why I think. Okay? This has no foundation. It has no scientific proof. It has no foundation in any research, any evidence that you'll find out there. I just got it down. I just downloaded it. And I'm going to show you something too. I'll grab my cards so I can show you. So way back when we were in our earlier lives, and all throughout time, there were, there was always wise women. Okay, there were always wise women. They say that these wise women who had mystical powers, healing powers, spiritual gifts. They were high priestesses. They were the witches, right? So they were at one time considered wise women, and then they evolved into the witch role. And somewhere, I believe, near the Inquisition, which I think was in the 13th, 14th century, there was a heightened paranoia around the witches, that they were eating infants, that they were killing people and hurting people and casting evil spells. Now, this especially became prevalent when the Black Death or Black Plague came across Europe and just demolished the population, okay? And so even before what we know about, like, the Salem witch trials, even before that in Europe, like, the idea of the mystical woman, high priestess, healer, these women back in, like, even biblical times, they used to help the gods and goddesses. They used to help the rulers and the kings. They used to foresee battles. They'd go into homes and help with the delivery of, infants and bringing new life into this world. And they'd create homeopathic remedies for healing, and they would cure infertility, and they would do all these amazing things, and they would clear the homes of negative energy, negative words, and they would do all these amazing things. And then as this paranoia grew, and these outside, like, the universe was going through its natural evolution, and this pestilence, this plague spread and wiped out all the population, there was this growing paranoia, which was invented from, I don't know, man, Christianity, I don't know. I don't have all the historical facts, but I'm sure you could talk to a historian to get the facts. But there was a growing paranoia about the witches having cast their evil spell. And so witches then became even more hated and feared. And so it was from that point on that they were persecuted, and the Inquisition, hence the Inquisition, right? Persecution or Inquisition is something that comes up very often in my past life deck. So especially when I'm in private session, when we look into, like, what's the underlying cause, so often for so many of you, I get that card that comes up. I'm going to find it so I can show it to you. And so it looks like this, okay? And so that's any way that we could have been persecuted in our past lives. Not saying that all of you are witches, but I know that all of you have been healers, and I know that all of you along this journey have been gifted and have been in your power at various lifetimes. And I also know that many of you have deep scars from other lifetimes in which your power was taken away from you. You were accused of wrongdoing. You were accused of things that you didn't do. You were tortured. You were unfairly tortured. You were unfairly imprisoned. You were tortured by man, for many of the females embodiments in those lifetimes. And you were, not only did you have to relinquish your gifts and your powers, but you lost your life, and in many cases. And so I feel like this is so many, especially of the Divine Feminine, that are on this journey in the Twin Flame collection and the Twin Flame Collective. This is almost across the board that we've all found one another. I feel like we are a tribe of, and it's for you males that I work with as well, who so many of you tell me you identify more with the predominant expression of the feminine. And I know that you have a lot of witchy gifts and all of that, and that you're working on, harnessing those and stepping into them. And there's a reason. It's because I feel like at one time or another, this is what unifies us, is this. And so that's why on this journey, so many of us are stepping into reclaiming these gifts now. Whether it's no matter how you look at it, whether it's mediumship or psychic gifts, or you're stepping into your healing powers. But I have another twist in this too. It's also the reason why we choose partners who may torture us, who may be narcissists, who may victimize us, who may it's also the reason why we chose our parents and our families, either because they were here to victimize us in the same way so that we could expand past this and reclaim our gifts. And it's also the reason why, like I said, we've chosen these partners where this is like a recurring thing. So we chose our family, and then those same wounds are repeated, the patterns are repeating, and so we're seeing it again in our twin flame dynamics. Now, I have another layer of this theory. It's also the reason why we choose to come into religious families, because that's actually a way for us to experience the same type of oppression or repression, where we can't own our witchy gifts, our spiritual or healing gifts, because we're taught that we've got to do it another way, a more conservative way, or we're taught that we've got to think a certain way or believe in something specific, or that we're crazy, or or we're evil, or we're not good, or we're crazy if we have these types of gifts. And so you're here now upon this journey to break those old beliefs so that you can step into these gifts again. And I know so many of you are doing that right now, and it's so amazing and beautiful. So there's another layer of this too. I just wanted to show you something else, which is the High Priest or Priestess card. This comes up very often too, along with the Abandonment Orphan card for past lives. But I really wanted to focus on these, okay? So if you see here, this is when she's owning her powers and her arms are open and she's receiving. And then here, though, she's tied, okay? Someone else is controlling her. Someone else has her at their mercy, and it's man. And so the other piece of information that I've been receiving is that so we've chosen the parents, we've chosen the narcissistic parents, or we've chosen the conservative families, or we've chosen the people that are going to victimize us or accuse us. We've chosen that because it's repeating this karma, okay, so that we can clear it. And then through those experiences, we're repeating it again so that we can clear it for good and shift. And so it is not a surprise to me if our twin flame victimizes us, tortures us, rejects us, abandons us, all these things, because not only have we seen that in early childhood because our soul chose it because of these past lives, but because it's very well plausible, and the downloads that I'm getting is that we actually had direct karma, or not karma. We actually had experienced this with our twin flames. It is it's so much for me to spit out. I'm so sorry if I'm being not as articulate as I normally am. It's bold things for me to say, but I don't know if anyone's really said them. I haven't heard anyone say them, so I'm trying to say it as best as I can. It's very plausible and probable that we did this dance with our twin flame, and could have been possibly persecuted by our twin flame in some lifetimes. And so underneath the, I feel abandoned, my dad abandoned me, I keep getting left by men, yada, 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 are in this life patterns. We have all this other negativity that's going on to clear. It's something that when the twin flame triggers you, whether they've accused you of doing something that you haven't, and that could be the narcissistic abuse, or it could be again, it's they're showing me it very specifically to the twin flames who are narcissists. I don't know why. So I'm going to go with that and say we're here to clear the negativity. So here's the thing. I posted a video about, you know, is my twin flame a narcissist? I didn't get very specific. Some of you wrote to me and said, why are you so vague? Like, I thought this video was going to tell me more. It's because there's so much out there, so many great teachers, so many psychotherapists, so many amazing people that you can learn from to help extricate you from these situations, because they're not healthy in the 3D paradigm. You've got to, educate yourself, because these narcissistic situations, whether with our twin or not, they're calling us to come into alignment with self, with our self-love, our integrity, our values, and wearing our crown again. But here's the thing that I don't agree with, and I'm going to tie it all back to this past life stuff in a minute. So when you watch, there's just so much information on this subject. If you may even have the inkling that your twin is narcissistic, or that you're somehow being, emotionally or psychologically abused, or you're getting the silent treatment or whatever, go and listen to some bloggers and bloggers about what the symptoms are. And I'm going to do a series of videos on this too. This is to come. What the symptoms are, how you identify it, how you become the observer so that you can extricate yourself. Because even in a twin flame connection, you would need to extricate yourself from that, and understand why you were drawn into it in the first place. And so there's so many layers of this that I could go into, and I can't get into it all in this video, but I have to say that the problem that I find with most of the information out there is that for twin flames, you're told your twin cannot be a narcissist. Like, it's false then. And if you're a twin flame who's awakening and healing or whatnot, you're told, okay, go over here to these psychotherapists and listen to their advice. And their advice will shock you out of your denial, which is a good thing in many cases, so that you can align with healthier boundaries and integrity and all of that. But my problem with it is that most of their guidance it breeds fear. It does not breed changing timelines. It does not breed the possibility of shifting for the other person. And it is breeding fear into you. And even there's a negative way in which they look at the victim. And so I'm here to tell you that people like Ross Rosenberg, who's a wonderful psychotherapist, who's been doing this work for years and years, who really knows his stuff, but he went ahead and coined the phrase self-love deficit disorder as how he identifies the victim. And I just don't see it that way. I see that we are empaths and healers from another lifetime who've come into this life to learn these lessons so that we can heal past this. And yes, does it involve greater self-love? Yes, but it also involves, I think many of us have a great deal of self-love, self-confidence, and power that's been dimmed down because of our early life experience. And because we were taught that we needed to please in order to receive love, we ended up putting others in front of us. Or because we were born in with these empathic gifts and these psychic gifts and very compassionate, very feeling and all of that, we didn't learn the balance at an early age of how to put self first, love self, and how to, we weren't shown in our family dynamics how to set healthy boundaries either. And so, and we were brought in being from persecutions in past lifetimes where we had to surrender our gifts and our lives for many of us. So this was familiar, that we would repeat this karma. So what I'm saying to the Ross Rosenbergs of the world is it's not a self-love deficit disorder. This is about that we've got to heal whatever's happened in our early childhood so that we can realign with all of this love and bring it all to the surface. We don't have a deficit. It's pushed down there, and we didn't learn how to balance it, and our gifts took over, so that in relationships, we've tended to lead with, the empathy and the compassion, and lead with our wounds, which is, the parent that didn't love us enough, or the one who victimized us. And in order to get the approval, we had to keep explaining ourselves, or we had to keep doing more. And it's like, okay, well, that's it. I feel like if you want to label a victim anything, you just label them special and learning, because to say that a victim has self-love deficit disorder, that is not true. It's not even close to true. It's also something that keeps the victim in a fixed place, and victims don't stay in a fixed place. Once they extricate themselves from narcissistic dynamics, they heal, ascend, and reclaim their lives and power. And I think in this dynamic, in these connections, it's 100% plausible that your twin flame could be a narcissist. It's the other piece of your soul, your wounded, persecuted soul. You've been through lifetimes playing out different roles with one another, playing out different karma, and playing out different things, so that you learn how to stay in your power, so that you learn how to balance your inner polarities, so that you learn how to be your true self without the ego interfering in such a way that it causes these, knee-jerk reactions and the runner behavior and all of that. You're here to learn how to love, and in order to love, you've got to learn to love even those people who killed you in your past lifetime. It's like thinking about what's happening on our planet right now. What would happen if instead of putting our energy into debating about gun control, if we instead, or like in our country, in the USA, if we instead poured our energy into compassion and love, and clearing the negativity for those that are out there playing out their child wounds, would we be able to raise them up? Would we be able to lift the vibration enough? I don't think we know that, because we're not able to do that. We look at these people and we hate, and we feel sorry for the victims, and then we judge, and then we hate, and then we put our energy into places that aren't going to heal the root of the problem. And the overall message is, whether you're in a narcissistic connection or not, any type of dynamic in the twin flame connection and collective right now, you are being called to love your twin. That doesn't mean to stay in the dynamic and take the abuse, or no. Go surrender. Go do you. Go move forward with your life. That's what you're supposed to do. That is how you learn to fly. And you just let go, and you let yourself be guided. And you keep doing your work. But how would it be if you were able to let go, move forward on your own course, yet still hold space for your twin flame, and clear the negative ways in which you look at your twin flame, and clear, if your twin flame is a narcissist, you're going to look at your twin flame like he is a monster. Once you learn what a narcissist or a psychopath is, you're going to feel a lot of hatred, okay, when you come out of it and take your blinders off. You're going to feel. I have advice for you. If you feel this, you must allow yourself to go into that, allow that stuff to come up. Do not fight it. Let your ego react. Let that come up. Let that anger, those emotions come up. It's good for you. It may even help you get extricated from the situation. But then don't focus negative. Don't feed it. A lot of us want to get revenge, or we want to say fuck you, or we want to, make ourselves better in spite of. But you don't have to do any of that. You just have to let your ego calm down after that, okay? And just be with yourself and focus on you and your healing and all of that. So most of you would be asking at this point, how the heck do I surrender, move forward with my life, and still in a surrendered space, moving on with my life, moving forward, releasing the attachment and the dynamic? How do I still hold space for the twin and let go of all those negative emotions and negative attachments? And I'm telling you, it's going to take a time, consciousness, awareness, effort, in terms of rerouting your thought process so that it's no longer on the negative, on the judgmental. Most of you ask, if my twin's a narcissist, doesn't that mean I should just give up right now because they can never change? Well, if you look at the statistics, there are some narcissists who can change. They're in a more moderate place in the spectrum with the right therapy. They have to, a lot of times, bottom out in order to get to that place where they would bring themselves to therapy, and then they have to go to the right therapist who could actually help them through this, so that they would want to even look at themselves, because they don't have an ability to really self-reflect. It's too injurious to them. So, but if you think about it, are there many more that may reach that place where they would awaken if we took all the negative feelings off of them? If we took all of the fixed ideas about it not being changeable, if we took all of the... So I guess what I'm trying to say to you is that it's not that you should sit here and wait for a twin flame to change, especially if they have narcissistic qualities. But it's that you can have a happy life and learn through this experience, this beautiful gift that you've been given to you by the soul catalyst or twin flame, or however you look at it, to get in alignment with yourself, to love yourself, to set better boundaries, to put yourself first, and to learn the balancing act of how to be compassionate and empathic, and also, be in alignment with your integrity and wear your crown. This will help you attract healthier relationships, which you're supposed to have while the twin flame or the soul catalyst is off doing their own healing and their own stuff. So, but the idea is that, in my theory, and what information has been sent to me, is that we must release the negativity for the killers in the world. We must release the negativity for the narc, sociopaths, and psychopaths in the world. That does not mean that you go back into these situations. That does not mean that. That means that you stop judging it. That means that you stop believing that these are fixed problems. Because what you do is you create timelines. We create collectively manifestations. And it breeds more of this. We are not uplifting those that are injured, wounded, that cannot see beyond themselves. And we must learn how to hold space for those who are not seeing beyond themselves. And I just ask you all to try to turn your awareness into your thought process, to start releasing that negativity in your personal connection, for those in the universe and in the world, in the universe. Those people who are bad or good, we're being asked to forgive. We're being asked to, this doesn't mean you have to pick a killer and hold them on a pedestal. That's not what you're being asked. You're being asked to release the judgment and negativity that you feel for the crimes, for what you've experienced in past life, the ways that you've been persecuted. You're being asked to lift the negativity for the ways that you've been rejected, victimized in your life, abused. You're being asked to align with the vibration of love, and that you are one with all. And I challenge you over the next week to work very consciously in creating a shift in that, releasing the negativity. And I want you to see how things start to shift in your world, not just, in so many ways, things will begin to shift for you. Also, by spreading this message, you can help others along the ascension path awaken to a greater level, a heightened level. And I feel if we all come together in this, not only will we help elevate our own personal situations, our own timelines, our own twin flame connections, but we're going to help elevate those on the planet. And so I hope that wasn't too much of a scattered message. I'm going to have to go back and look at this video again. I'm going to be posting a series of videos for those of you that are in narcissistic connections, so that you can understand the symptoms, how you can put this into perspective as a twin flame, and still extricate yourself in order to live a happy life, and get in alignment with greater self-love, boundaries, integrity, all of that. So stay tuned for those videos, because they're to follow in the next few weeks. And I will see you guys soon. Okay, thanks. Bye.